Alright folks, welcome back to another Awaken Chaos Era video, and as promised we are going to jump in and do a little hero guide on Garrell. And yeah, if any of you guys watched the summon video the other day, you'll have seen that we did pull him, so stay tuned to the end of the video if you want to see basically if this guy's worth leveling up for your account or not. We've done a fairly in-depth review, and what I've done is I've actually built him in a way that I'm pretty sure most people should be able to build him. So we don't have him ascended at all, because that is probably the biggest separation between free to play or low spender and whales in this game is the ascensions. Everything else is pretty easy to get free to play or low spender. I'm a low spender in this game, and you can see I've still got a fair amount of ascensions on my epic heroes. I'm definitely lacking on the ascensions for the legendaries because it is quite difficult to get. So I've not ascended them at all, but I think people that have pulled them during this promotion, this is realistically what they could shoot for. So like an unascended, max 60, I've maxed out his glyphs and I've maxed out his abilities, so that'll take a little bit of time for most people, but I think that's pretty much doable. So let's just go quickly over his kit again. I know we briefly went over in the last one, but now that I know it a bit better, we've got this passive here, which is the main thing about this kit. So it grants 2 rage at the start of each battle. Each attack grants 1 rage. 6 rage removes all negative effects from this character and activates his Azura state for 2 turns. And the Azura state is the thing where he gets these big flaming hands behind them. Attacks in the flaming Azura state deal extra damage based on his max health. So yeah, he can be ascended as well there. Now, it's important to note that each attack grants 1 rage. This counts via his counter attacks. This counts via things like William going in and getting him to join in on his basic attack, which is really cool. And also the 6 rage counter ticks up while he's in the Azura state as well. So when you're attacking in Azura state, you're actually ticking up the rounds for the next form of Azura state. So he does actually get into this Azura a lot more than I thought he was, which makes him a little bit better than I thought he was actually, to be honest. Now his basic ability deals 100% damage, 40% buff on it, and deals 20% more if the target has a positive effect. Actually, that was one thing as well. Just remember that this actually does remove all negative effects from him too, so it's like a cleanse for himself. So it's actually, that's one of the better things about this hero too. We've got the special here: when attacked, boosts lifesteal 50% and counter attacks with basic abilities, triggered up to once per round, and you get plus 20% lifesteal strength. So when attacked, so anything coming at you like AoE is pretty strong because he's going to build his rage counter back up, but it's a bunch of lifesteal he gets as well, so he can actually keep himself alive. And then the ultimate here, it's pretty nice: grants attack up and defense pierce up 2, which I don't think many heroes have in this game, for 2 turns, and then deals 150% damage to 1 single enemy. It's got a 45% damage boost there when it's fully booked, and it's actually on a really low cooldown as well, 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty awesome. So he's going to be able to get like 1 of these up per Aurora state, or Azura state, whatever you call it. Yeah, per Azura state you can get 1 of these because it's on a 3-turn cooldown and you're only actually in Azura state for 2 turns. But he's able to get it up that quick that he should be able to do it pretty much every time he has this coming round. So the gear, I've just chucked him in like pure damage gear because this guy's a damage dealer. I wanted to see how much damage he can actually do. Now there's different ways to build him. I think probably curse set is going to be the way to build this guy, because really what you want him doing is taking as much turns as possible, and the more turns he takes, the more often he's going to have this Azura stay up, and then the more damage he does effectively. He does have S tier attack and he's got A tier health. Now that is a pretty strong combination. It's well worth keeping in mind that he does damage based on his max health though, which is a bit of an odd one, because you're trying to build him with like full crit rate, full crit damage. Don't worry too much about speed because he's going to be going behind everyone anyway, but he needs a lot of health and a lot of attacks, so he's quite a difficult guy to build. But let's have a little look at the stats we got. So we've got the 100% crit rate, 200% crit damage. I mean, this isn't my best gear on him, but it's pretty decent gear, I think. I didn't need focus, so I could easily get better gear that doesn't have any focus on it. A bit more precision would be quite useful. But his attack got up to 4072, which is actually pretty decent, because although it's S tier attack, it's not like crazy high. There's a lot of epic heroes and stuff that have actually higher attack than him. So that's not a bad amount of attack he's got there, and a reasonable amount of health. I would like to get that higher just to play about with it and see how much of a difference it does, but I had him originally in a build here that was like 14,000 health and a little bit less attack, and when I've switched to more attack and a little bit less health, I'm dealing more damage. So I don't actually know how much damage he's getting off the maximum health thing here. We'd really have to sit down and do the maths, but my inkling is I would probably favour attack over it and then just get as much health as you can afterwards, because he is going to be dealing a ton of damage with his normal attacks not in the Azura state, and then the health isn't really doing anything for him. He does keep himself alive, like I say, with the lifesteal off the special, which is pretty nice. So in terms of the gear, I've just got a 5-piece attack set on him. Yeah, you can see the ideas, like attack on here, crit rate on here, some attack on here, just speed, attack, crit rate, all these kind of things. Not got a ton of health, unfortunately, but so I could definitely get more health here. I've only got 1 health roll here, but if I could get some pieces with health and keep his attack as it is and keep the health up a bit higher too, I think he could do pretty damn good. So let's take him into where I think he's going to be good. We're going to try him in Arena, we're going to try him in Roaring Tulpa, and we will be doing him in Guild Boss, but unfortunately today it's the Water Guild Boss, so I'm probably not going to run him because he's the wrong affinity for that, but we can pretty much guess what he's going to be like in Guild Boss. So let's first of all take him into the arena and let's have a little go with him. Right, so here's one I prepared earlier. We went into arena, and what I really wanted to do with this guy is when I first read his kit, I thought he's going to be an absolute beast for just taking down tanks in arena. That's kind of what I had in mind. So keep in mind this guy's got a pretty reasonable build on him. He's got some good stats, he's got 100% crit rate, so he's dealing a ton of damage, and I've got him into his Azura state for this part of the video here, and really what I wanted to take down was a Mythasia, because Mythasia is probably the most common, well, one of the most common heroes on arena defense at the moment, and she's a beast, and she's also wood affinity, so he is strong against her. So my thoughts were, if he was able to just one-shot Mythasias when he's built really strong in his Azura state, then he's going to be a beast of an arena character. So let's see how he did. So I used the basic attack first, so let's see how the basic attack does. Keep in mind she does have max health up and all this stuff, but yeah, so it does half of the health here, as you can see. Now, having a look at the buffs, as you can see, she did have a shield up, she had the max health one on, but to be honest, if you're fighting a Mythasia, she's gonna have buffs up. There's no point in trying to look for a basic Mythasia with no buffs on and defense down, because that's just the perfect situation. What I wanted to see is if this guy could just blow through a Mythasia without all of that kind of stuff, without the perfect situation, and unfortunately the A1 didn't hit super hard. It didn't even take half of her health off, so let's just skip ahead and see if the ultimate does any better. Right, so here we have the ultimate ready, and Mythasia, she's got a bunch of stuff up on as usual. Let's see what he does. Pretty cool animations for the ultimate. So yeah, as you can see, we took about 2/3 of her health down. She had defense up, all the good stuff that you would expect Mythasia to have on her, because she's usually run with Brand, so you're going to have all this kind of stuff on her. Now, he does have attack down here, but that's actually post him using his ultimate, because Brand counter-attacks and puts attack down, so he didn't have attack down there. He actually had his attack up with no attack down, so he was dealing like pretty much full damage. It's a little disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's like the strongest build in the world, but most people are going to be building this guy with like a curse set, and you've got to keep in mind, with a curse set you're just not going to be able to put out the same amount of just pure damage right off the bat as, you know, a full attack set that I've got on him. I've got him in, you know, 6-piece attack set with all pretty decent stats on it, just for dealing like pure damage, as in like one hit sort of thing. So yeah, and this is obviously positive affinity he's going against wood, so I don't think this guy is an arena guy whatsoever. I did say that in the previous video, but I just think he's not really an arena character, and we're going to explain more of that as we go into the rest of the content, because his kit is designed very similar to Imogen. I mentioned before that Imogen's not really an arena character either. He's one of those kind of snowball sort of characters. He snowballs and gets out of control and does a ton of damage, so like I mentioned in the previous video, he's definitely a boss killer. Mainly, I think he's going to be excellent in raid boss. But let's just go into Tulpa next, and we'll see how he does there. So into Tulpa, we are going to be running him alongside Aurak, because Aurak's like the main damage dealer in red at the moment. He does damage based on max health, so he does a bunch of damage. Imogen's just in there because I don't have another damage dealer in red that I'd like to put in, because you want to try and kill the Tulpa fairly quick. She does the job anyway, but I could do with building probably like Jacob or someone else up again. I've got a bunch of guys at 5-star that are needing to get leveled up, and Brand obviously. So let's jump in with this. But Garrell and Aurak are my 2 damage dealers. We'll just skip ahead and see how we get on. Right, as you can see there, we just jump in and he's starting to counter-attack now. So this is where this guy comes into his own, I think. He's definitely more of a PvE hero. The more turns he takes and the more he does, he just accumulates damage over time. So he's going to be taking all these sort of counter-attacks, which is going to build his rage up and allow him to come back and just keep using this Azura state. So I think that is where he's going to deal a ton of damage. But what we'll do here is we've got the Roaring Tulpa. I'm going to use the ultimate from Aurak and see what this does, because Aurak's built in reasonably good gear. Maybe not quite as good as the gear I've got on Garrell, but it's still pretty damn good. But this is based on max HP, so let's see what this does. So like this is stage 12, but you know it's done about sort of, is that about 20% of the damage almost? Let's go and let's deal some damage with Imogen next. And hopefully we've got the ultimate. We do have the ultimate up here. We do have defense down ready, but I'm not going to do it with defense down. Let's just see what this does. It was on 70% to begin with. So about sort of 12% there. So he doesn't deal as much straight up damage as Aurak, which is completely understandable. Let's just put this on auto. Because he's not dealing damage back based on max health. But as you can see, he's counter attacking there. So what he does is, I think we'll check the stats afterwards on this one, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to actually. Aurak just died. This is because I'm doing it not on auto. Normally I kill the guy on the right first, and then we're absolutely fine. So I'm not going to be able to check the stats afterwards because this is a bit of a failure run. But after this, what I'll do is I'll run another run of this with the auto team that I normally do, because it normally always kills them without losing any heroes, and we'll see how much the two guys deal damage against each other do. But as you can see, his counter attacks, he'll just gain a lot of damage through the actual game with all these counter attacks that he's doing, and then constantly giving himself rage, and then just building this up using his ultimate. So he's not a big single hitter, which I think a lot of people thought he might be. He's more just an accumulative damage dealer, which is basically exactly what you want for raid boss, which is why I think raid boss is going to be his strongest point. And he's definitely very strong in Roaring Tulpa. He's now in my team for Roaring Tulpa, and he will be for Tulpa 12 because I think he's very good there. But I think, yeah, Guild Boss is really where he's going to shine the most. I guess the one thing to note though is that Jacob probably will deal more damage still, so it's not like he's an absolute must build for wood-based raid boss. But he's definitely a good option. I mean, having him and Jacob in the same team would be pretty nuts, to be perfectly honest. I'm pretty sure, I'll have to build up Jacob again, but I'm pretty sure Jacob all round will do more damage to the raid boss. So yeah, it's a complicated one, but we'll finish this one off and then we'll join in the end on a normal run, and we'll see how much damage the two of them deal against each other, and see what it comes out as. Right, so we're coming up to the end of the Tulpa stage here. See if I can just finish him off. It'll be probably Garrell that finishes him off in the end. There he goes, with the ultimate to finish it off. A little bit overkill. Oh, we got a legendary Vanguard round, that's pretty awesome. So let's go to the battle report. Funnily enough, as you can see, Imogen's still dealing more damage than everybody. She's an absolute beast in this sort of content. She's not even built in that good gear compared to them, but yeah, damage over time heroes are always better in these sort of situations than your Auraks. Aurak's great, don't get me wrong, and if you build Aurak better than I've built him, I've not built him incredible yet, you can have him deal insane damage and do it for more like speed runs and stuff. But for sustained damage, between Imogen, I mean, we're not looking at Imogen here, but we're looking more at Garrell. They're going to deal more over time. Imogen's still better because she's not even in as good gear as him just now, and she's able to do all that. But he did outperform Aurak, which is pretty interesting. So I do think he's definitely a viable hero. Now he is also doing a ton of damage to like the you know, the minions and stuff like that as well, because he's counter-attacking them all the time. So this isn't specifically 57k to the boss as such, and he does counter-attack all the little enemies that attack him, so he is getting a lot through there, but it's still quite a bit more than Aurak in this situation. Like I mentioned though before, I do think he's going to be a raid boss specialist. I think that's really where he's going to come into his own, because he does have that lifesteal as well, which is really awesome, so he can keep himself alive. So you can build a team that doesn't necessarily need to heal him too much, because he's able to heal himself and keep himself going all the time. And I think he can deal a ton of damage in raid boss. Him and Jacob in the same team with something to keep them buffed and alive would be pretty nuts, I think. So as soon as the green version of the raid boss comes around, we'll definitely chuck him in and give him a shout. But if anybody's tried him in green raid boss already, leave in the comments below how you're getting on with him, and if you think he's potentially better than Jacob, or if he's just not going to be too much use. Now he is in an attack set here. It's important to say that Imogen's not in as good gear as him, but she is in a curse set, and I did mention at the start of the video that this guy would be a bit of a beast in a curse set. So I think if you chuck the curse set on him in this one, this would be much higher than Imogen's, because he is actually the strong affinity here. So I think that does show you the power of how strong a curse set could be in these situations. The reason I wanted to do this is mainly I wanted to try him out in arena and see how he does, and he wasn't that great. Another really important thing to note about the arena fight we did earlier is that that's fairly low level at the moment, because I haven't actually been playing much arena. I've been trying to just build up my dungeon teams and grind out for that kind of stuff. I've actually dropped down quite a bit, so I'm somewhere in the gold region. I can't remember, gold 2 or 3, and the heroes in there aren't that strong. So even though it is a Mythasia, you know, top level Mythasia, even with the strongest hero in the game, you're not going to be able to do much to there. That wasn't specifically one of the tougher ones. You know, the guy had like a level 50 in his team and stuff, so I'm sure he's built her okay, but I wouldn't say it's going to be an amazing one. So it's a little disappointing to see that, but at least we know not an arena hero, definitely a PvE hero, definitely a raid boss specialist, and definitely can be used in Tulpa as well. So that is really my review of Garrell. So should you build him up? I would say if you're struggling for fire heroes, then yes, he's definitely a must build for PvE content. If you've already got like a Jacob build up and he's doing really well for you, and you're not struggling with Tulpa and you're doing really well on that versus the raid boss, I don't really see any point in spending the resources to level him up, because Aurak can do a lot. You know, he can do a lot of damage, especially if you build him better than I've built Aurak, and he's easier to ascend. He's an epic. You know, there's so many pluses. He's just cheaper to boost up. You know, you've really got to want to invest in a legendary in this game, because it is expensive to eventually get them fully ascended, fully geared up, all that kind of stuff. So someone like Imogen is 100% worth it. I would say Garrell is like a sort of B tier legendary hero. He's good in certain situations, but not as good as I thought he was going to be, not as good as the hype was behind them. And I would probably avoid building them if you've already got the likes of Jacob, Aurak and all these kind of guys built up and ready to go. I don't really think your account will need it, but that's just what I think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about him, if maybe I've completely missed a use for him that I'm not seeing, and maybe he will be so much better in a curse set that well, I know he'll be better in a curse set for the PvE content. I just think in arena, you know, the curse in certain situations in arena, curse could be kind of good, but in arena you're kind of wanting to just kill them right away. You're facing nuke teams and stuff that just want to blast through people, so I don't really see him as being that strong for the arena. Anyway guys, that's it. Please like and subscribe to the channel as always, and have a great day. Peace.